Hello everybody and welcome back to the shop. So today's project is to do the magnetic particle testing on Squatch's rock crusher shaft. Here's the eccentric shaft and there are the flywheels, and we're going to do magnetic particle testing on these to confirm their quality, to find out if we have any issues that we don't know about. And magnetic particle and dye penetrant testing are both good methods to source any problems. So I don't see any cracks physically, but something may come up with the magnetic particle testing that we can't see. Now, if you're interested in magnetic particle testing, the best way to learn about it is to either go to school for it or pick yourself up a ASME boiler and pressure vessel code section 5, and all the information you really need for magnetic particle testing is in article 7 of section 5. So a lot of good information there. Actually, our section 5 covers all non-destructive testing for the ASME code for boiler and pressure vessel, but it carries over to so many other things. So with that, let's get in here, take a look at the equipment and get started. All right, so the first piece of equipment here, that kind of the one thing you really desperately need for this, is the magnetic yoke. This is an AC magnet yoke, and I've already tested it to the ASME requirements, and it exceeds that, so it's perfect. And one thing you want to do when you're doing magnetic particle testing is have your yokes, these magnetic pieces, they touch the material no more than 8 inches apart and no closer than 3 inches. That is kind of the standard in this, and that's what we're aiming for. And then I got my little puffer with my iron filings. These are red iron filings. They're dyed, and they come from a reputable supplier. Well, there you go. There's the name. That's who I order all that stuff from. Okay, so before we get started, we're just going to verify everything. And what we're at here is my welding bench. You're starting out with a clean, dry surface, and that's a requirement. Make sure everything's clean. And this is a solid piece, but at some point when we were making this thing, I think we ran short on material and had to splice it. So there's a saw cut here. They're butted together, welded on the bottom, and that's all good. We're going to test it here, and then we're going to come over and test it on that splice and just see the difference. So we're magnetized. And as you can see, nothing's really sticking up. You would see it for sure. Well, let's move over to this spot. And you make sure your feet are firmly planted. Look at how it pronounced that line there. So it really showed up this line. I don't have power in it right now, but let's... So when you power it up, it really makes it jump there. Let's scrape that to the side again. And so yeah, you can see it. It's definitely a seam there. So that's what we're looking for when we're doing this mag particle testing on all of the parts. All right, so we're just going to start here on the shaft itself. And the place I would foresee a problem will be at the seams. So any joints, steps, probably up in here. Not so much up in there. I'm gonna guess it'd be okay. But this is where the big pulley itself rides, and this is where I could foresee problems. So let's I don't see anything there. And another thing I like to do on shafts is come in this way and just test it the opposite way, because you never know. Something could show up. And that looks good there. So basically I need to go over this entire thing like that until we find a problem, if we find a problem. And I'm going to go ahead and rotate this quick so we can get the keyways up, because I think if we're going to see problems right away, we're going to see them at the keyways. All right, I got the shaft rotated up here, and look at that keyway. What a beautiful taper to that thing. Nice and wide. So it's been hammering a long time, and I would expect we're going to see some damage in here. but we might not. This material might be better than we think it is, but it's kind of interesting looking at it. It's like they drilled it first and then did this on both ends and then milled the keyway into the drilled hole. So kind of an interesting way of doing it. I haven't seen that before. Maybe it's the old way, who knows, but still interesting nonetheless. So surprisingly, I'm not seeing any real problems here in the keyway. I'm actually surprised that's held up as well as it has. But we'll go ahead and go over this entire shaft, just verify everything before we get onto the pulleys. All right, I wanted to point this out, and we saw this when we first looked at this thing. There were some spots that were chunked out, just material missing, and I can tell right here that it's cracked under the surface out to the edge here. But that's not going to affect us. It's not a crack through the shaft. It's longitudinally under the surface, just right here. So that's okay. That's not going to hurt us. So now let's move on to the big flywheels. All right, on this thing, if we're going to see a failure, it's going to be in the spoke or it's going to be in the hub right near the keyway right there. And I already checked this. I didn't find any cracks in the keyway. I was actually surprised, but we'll do more testing. I mean, we're not done. I mean, there's a lot to test here. Now I see some standing up here. I wonder, can you see that in the camera? Oh, you should be able to. I don't think that's a crack, but I'm going to come back and look at that later. I think that's just casting flaws. If that were a crack, I would think it'd be just one line instead of multiple, as you can see here. So I think that's just casting flaws. Nothing that I'm really concerned about right at the moment. But we'll work our way around this whole thing and see what we got. Looks good. Yeah, so far we're looking really good. So overall, I'm not going to complain about this one. I would really need to flip it over and test it thoroughly, which I'll do off camera later. But let's test it right here. Kind of across the hub, across the keyway. So I don't see any distinguishing marks other than where you can see it was beat with the maul and it's rolled over. There's got some irregularities, but I mean, around the keyway looks great. I see no issues there. So we'll have to flip this one over and check it over thoroughly some more, but so far I don't see anything that's alarming on this one. So I'll move over to the other one. So what's next on this? Well, I'm gonna get a hold of Squatch and we're gonna talk it over, and we had a plan. We don't know if it's still gonna work. We're gonna approach this as we go and just kind of play it by ear mostly, but we have a plan, and if you caught that video of the discussion of it and the ideas, there's a lot of good ideas floating around. It's just a matter of what we can do. So next thing, we'll just discuss it and go from there. And if you caught my 5-year anniversary and big shop update video, great, you understand what's going on. If you didn't, go back and check that out. But basically, Topper Machine is no more a full-time machine shop. I maintain my insurance, I maintain my business licenses, but I am only here rarely. Because the region is just absolutely died. So I'm just doing work on the side and the stuff I want to do. I'm not actively pursuing new customers. I went from a year and a half ago, about 30 active customers down to about 3. So I just could no longer keep this going as a full-time business. So it's just more or less a hobby now, doing things for people I want to do things for and the few existing customers I have left. So the future of the channel, the videos coming, there'll be some interesting stuff, but it'll be mostly my own stuff. So if you're into that, stick around, please subscribe, stay with me, check out my older content, a lot of great stuff here. And with that, I'm just too dumb to quit.
Too dumb to quit, too proud to cry, still grinding steel under a fading sky. The last machine shop in a frozen hell, just me and a dream I can't seem to sell.